Welcome back to another episode of the Corporate Cowboys podcast. As always, my name is Alex. For the next half hour, you've got me to listen to. This is like an open office hours of sorts, right? Because if I were a manager, some type of leadership figure within corporate, I would have an open door policy as far as good ideas go, right? I'm open to listen to any good idea that is smart, right? What's that? Specific, measurable, actionable, relatable, and time bound, something like that, right? It's ripping it off the top of my head, but it still sounds legitimate, right? Because you want all of those features in a good idea for you to be able to receive this ball from your subordinate, from your employee, from your crew member, from your colleague, and run that ball, right? As a leader. Granted, there are some managers that really only work to the letter of the title and they just manage. They just manage resources and never get anything more done. They've more or less settled. They've become complacent. So they look like sitting ducks to corporate cowboys. A little proof of life. Today is Friday, July 7. And if you haven't visited us online, if you haven't shared this podcast with anyone, do that. We're on Instagram. The handle is at Corporate Cowboys with a Z at the end. We're on Twitter also. It's Corporate Cowbees or Keebies. It's CORPORATECWBYZ. Is it BYZ or BYS? It's one of the two. But the profile picture is the same. We claimed them both. Fuck it. Because the one who had there's somebody out there who's got like the corporate cowboy original handle, and we were just too late to the Twitter game. Not that we give a shit. We're on Patreon. Join one of the numerous tiers that are there, and there's some donation links available also. If you're a smart cookie, I'm sure you can find them. But any money we receive goes towards business expenses and legal fees, as always. Just know that this podcast, it's a way of expressing cathartically, comedically, what it means to be a consummate professional. I think a lot of individuals, when they first start working, their first job, there is a sense of honor, a sense of pride that begins to erode over time the more you learn about what the quote unquote real world, what real life is like. Life outside of quote unquote safe spaces like school, like the library, like church, right? Those are all relatively safe spaces, not just the diversity and inclusion center in your fucking higher education. That ain't a safe space. Try going in and including outside ideals. Yeah, you'll get chewed the fuck out. There's no marketplace of ideas there. You just either toe the line with the mainstream narrative or you can see your way out, right? And there are some aspects like that in corporate. There are some aspects of corporate that are exactly like that. And so people become disillusioned over time when they go to work. They have a sense of honor, a sense of pride. They want to be a good employee. They want to do good work. Folks take pride in good workmanship. But a lot of the higher ups don't. They literally want the bare minimum. They just want you to show up, get whatever done that's assigned to you, no more, no less, because they don't pay you to do anything more. They expect it. They expect the minimum. Yeah, they demand the maximum effort from you, but they expect the minimum. think when you climb up a couple of rungs on the ladder, you see that more and more. And a lot of these managers don't have the ability, don't have the skill set in order to motivate, to inspire the professionals around them to aspire to be consummate professionals. Why? Because they aren't consummate professionals. How the fuck would they know what they want when they themselves are not experiencing it? They are not working on it. Right? Alex, you're taking forever. I thought we were going to read a question. All right. Today's question, right? I'm just letting the listener know. I'm letting the listener know that this podcast is really talk therapy. It's a little bit of comedy, a little bit of seriousness, a whole lot of business, so that you can take notes, whether it's mentally, whether you're putting them down on paper, little quotes you pull from this that are like gold nuggets, right? Forget about pearls before swine. Dog, I've been in the fucking trenches, and I've dug deeper in search of precious metals, right? And the one metal that I've valued the most and has rendered itself the most valuable has got to be the one that's got to be attached to your hip at all times. Keep that motherfucking thing on you. It's better to not need it than to get caught lacking. Because that's what a fucking corporate cowboy would do. Catch you motherfuckers lacking. Today's question comes from r/career guidance. Let's just get to it. A little bit of general advice. Before I start though, I gotta give that legal disclaimer that none of what you are about to hear, that you have heard over the course of this podcast, none of it you should be construing as specific legal advice to you, right? It's not tailored for you, the listener. It's just generalized. I'm giving you a peek into how we move, how we think, how we operate in terms of a hypothetical, in relation to a hypothetical client's situation. Okay? So keep that in mind. We do not condone any wrongful conduct. We do not promote any illegal activity, right? These folks are asking, and they've flared this for advice. This is coming off Reddit, by the way. From r/career guidance. Will 4+ years of self-employment hurt me when applying for a new role? So they've been working. It's not like they've been lounging. They've been working, making money in a role on their own, an operation that they've been managing themselves and coordinating with clients, coordinating with colleagues, with other professionals, other subcontractors, right? Because we're now dealing with a world of independent contractual relationships, especially when you're moving from contract to contract. You could have a number of clients. And for those clients, if you can't service them completely, then you're going to go out in search of a subcontractor who can fill in the blanks for you. So they write, I graduated college in 2018 and started an entry-level role in marketing that year. I was fine, but I was underpaid and wanted to explore the social media side of marketing more than I was able to. I get that. I mean, especially when you're fresh out of school, right? When you're in school, if school does it right, they promote creativity. They're not just telling you what to learn, but they're telling you, or they should be showing you, how to learn, how to search for more knowledge, how to search for more information, how to discover actionable intel on your own. And unfortunately, a lot of public education isn't doing that. So folks are turning to outside supplementary education, self-help, comedy, like the podcast. But in the event, I'm not going to say it's unlikely, but in the event that you do leave high school or higher education and your intellect, your sharp wittiness, your curiosity, your piqued interest hasn't been blunted down by general education requirements, right? If you still feel like the pursuit of a specific field of knowledge is going to be valuable to you, right? That's where genius is born. I mean, folks think that genius is only prodigy, that genius is only savant, that genius comes from high levels of IQ, or maybe exorbitantly high levels of IQ. But that isn't always the case. Discoveries, ingenuity, innovation, creativity comes from people who stick with what they started with, not just jumping around. And the same thing goes for jobs. The same thing goes for employment in corporate, right? So I know that job hopping tends to be a popular option for a lot of professionals. And to an extent, it'll work. It'll work while you're climbing the ladder. But then you begin to realize that your career isn't only within one organization. Your career is across an entire field. The longer you're in a field, the more you cultivate a reputation. So you've stuck with the field, even if you've been moving through organizations. That's some fucking corporate cowboy shit. That's some higher level thinking. But few folks can really see the forest through the trees like that. That being said, when you leave school and you have that hunger to learn, you've got that. It's a voracious hunger that you want to do more. You want to know more, to be able to do more. Like you're at one level of capable of doing something, and you see, or you can identify, you understand your potential. So if you feel like you're being restrained, if you feel like you're like a horse nipping at its bit, you're like a wild animal that's been not caged, but limited, right? You've got some kind of governor chip in your brain. And that might be a contract that you're not allowed to explore social media marketing because that's not what we hired you for. Then you can leave. You're still in marketing, and you begin working for yourself. You'll learn more about marketing because you've got your hands in the dough and you're learning to make bread. You're learning to bake the shit yourself. Then just showing up for work. Hey, Alex, we got 4 or 5 more clients for you today. They want you to compose a post. They've included pictures for us to use, and you're going to program these to be published for the next week and a half, for the next 2 weeks, or for however fucking long. I won't be learning shit because it'll already be open for me, right? Granted, I mean, I'm over here assuming that this hypothetical client was working for an organization that did social media marketing, but was just limiting their responsibilities to something menial, to something very basic, to something that they believe was below their potential, was not maximizing their potential, their professional potential. There is the alternative that they could have stuck around, and if they were in an organization that did the social media marketing, right, that they ought to stick around for a little longer to explore opportunities, to explore resources and networks that they might be able to take advantage of before they pull the parachute or think that they need to leave, because that might not be the case. They might not need to leave at all. They just need to voice an opinion or filter an opinion through the right channels of communication. That's how you network. That's how you move like a corporate cowboy. You want to exhaust every potential opportunity, and sometimes you'll have to create them yourself. That's taking initiative. A corporate cowboy doesn't always just follow orders. Fucking kidding me? Everyone has got their own autonomy. Everyone, even the CEO, everyone has got 1 degree, at least 1 degree of discretion. Just like how we believe that every fucking one has at least $1 million idea. And I'm just saying the proverbial $1 million idea, right? Everyone's got at least one good idea able to be capitalized on. Everyone has got at least one capitalizable idea that they just may not know how to put into a tangible form, how to transform it, how to transmute it, how to convert it into a tangible form to be able to market it, to be able to sell it, to be able to license it. That's why you have motherfuckers like me. That's why you come to us. I got associates who know associates. Shit, I might be able to do it myself if I don't outsource it to somebody. And by outsource, it's just connecting you with someone who has that area of expertise down to a T. Isn't that what you want? You want your I's dotted and your T's crossed. You want the... Never mind, I was going to make a contraband reference, but I was on a good roll. I'm keeping it legit. I'm keeping it legit for this one. So this person left out. They left out of the organization they were in because they felt that opportunities just weren't presenting themselves. We don't know all of the background. If we had the client, the hypothetical clients in front of us, we would be able to dig a little deeper. I mean, more information, more of the right kind of information never hurts, right? There's useful information and information that is irrelevant. That's just not relevant for your particular issue, or to put together and formulate a worthwhile strategy. It's not relevant. It doesn't merit any consideration. But the right kind of information we cannot get enough of. So of course we would be asking follow-up questions, some baseline questions, something, some biographical information, some background, and then dig deeper in the areas that we need to know more about in order to come up with a plan of action. They say, more than I was able to. I started, okay, so they wanted to do social media marketing. The more marketing than I was able to. social media side of marketing more than I was able to. Come on, Alex. I started freelancing on the side and it took off. So I quit my job 6 months later. Chef's kiss. Beautiful. Beautiful. Didn't just fucking leave and was gone in the wind. No. He put his sail up first. They put their sail up first, caught some wind, and dipped. That's how it needs to be done. That's how it should be done. Nicely done. I've been employed since spring 2019 and have really loved it. I did over 6 figures in revenue last year as a solo entrepreneur, and I'm proud of my accomplishments. As you should be. As you should be. That sounds like a great effort. A great deal of time, energy, skill, effort was put into getting something up off the ground, starting it from nothing. I mean, yeah, you had the background information, you had the theoretical knowledge that maybe you came out of school with, but you coupled that with the interest and the creativity and the drive, the motivation, the initiative, your own initiative to freelance. And it took off, and it's paid off from what we're reading. The next paragraph says, that said, the role I would have listed as my dream job, in quotes, back in 2018, just opened up. Damn. That's tough, man. That's fucking tough. That's a dilemma. That is a dilemma. You're doing so well on your own, by yourself, and I mean, maybe if I do remember when you first start picking up momentum and getting in the groove of things, like it's not really that much of a grind anymore. It's just a continuous hustle. Like the hustle is there forever, but the struggle is very short and in the beginning. Like it's like that cost of entry. The cost of entry is whipping yourself into shape. That's the grinding down. That's the removal of excess material. Pretend you're like a blade, right? And you're fucking blunted. You're damn near squared off. You're like a 90-degree, just a 90-degree flat top, and you have to shave off those corners to come to a peak, to come to a bevel, an edge, right? And you have to do that over the course of learning the ropes for your own business, striking out on your own, and not losing the drive, not losing the momentum, keeping the momentum there, keeping your foot on the gas. And assuming that isn't your dream job, right? Because as an entrepreneur, you can pretty much take your mission anywhere you want it to go. But if you still have an idea that you haven't been able to let go of, something that you think you left behind in corporate, which, if I'm being honest, if you can do this on your own, hire people. I mean, the hypothetical client doesn't mention anything like that about hiring or managing other subcontractors or employees as an entrepreneur, as a sole proprietor, you know, or an LLC. I don't know what it is that they that they were doing business as. But they don't mention that. So that's it calls into question whether or not their entrepreneurship is really something that was fulfilling to them, satisfying to them. Apparently it wasn't, because their quote unquote dream job, something that they left behind in 2018 in corporate, it just opened up and now they're interested. You see, but for 4 years, one has to ask, have they been doing similar work or something equivalent to that dream job that's prepared them for the position, that's geared them, that's trained them, that have they tooled themselves up? Have they ground down those edges? Have they ground? Have they ground down those edges to the right degree, bevel, to the correct shape of blade that they need? Yeah, yes, I'm still on this blade analogy because I used this blade analogy going through law school. And motherfuckers thought that you practice law with a spoon. And I'm out here the cutthroat motherfucker. That's just putting work in. That's how work gets done, by actually doing it. But those are the questions you have to ask yourself. It's whether those skills required for your quote unquote dream job are skills that you've been developing inherently as an entrepreneur. How you can translate those, how you can transpose those from having worked only by yourself or having worked only with other professionals. And then you'll have to, I'm not going to say submit to getting managed, to submit to an employer, but that's essentially what you're going to have to sell them on, is that the value you bring isn't something you are overqualified for, because that exists. That does exist. Motherfuckers will look you up and down, see you may be too much to handle, and tell you that you're overqualified. I've seen it. I've heard it. I've never told anybody that they're overqualified. I mean, shit, they want to work for conditions. They want to work under workplace conditions. Shit, you sign the dotted line, join the ranks, right? So it's a corporate war. You're just born into it. But beyond that, that shouldn't hurt you at all. So long as this dream job and what you've been doing align to some degree, to some extent, something that you're able to not finesse, but hustle, but communicate to them professionally and make you hireable, right? Is this other position also 6 figures? I know money is a huge thing for a lot of individuals, but maybe it's offering you more broader access to resources and networks that you couldn't have developed in the same amount of time working only for yourself. I get it. Running your own business takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy, where you may not be able to visit with and develop a network simultaneously because you have to get work done for yourself. If you're not outsourcing it, right? There's ways around that. There's ways around that. Let's read a little bit more. They write, my dream job back in 2018 just opened up. I'm applying today and we'll see where it goes. What I'm wondering is if my self-employment is going to hurt me in the eyes of hiring managers. Personally, I think owning a business has taught me far more than any other marketing role could have. And in parentheses, they write, as I'm not only marketing for clients, but also myself. But I'm stressed they may not see it that way. That's a lack of confidence. And it may not be, I mean, it may be a reasonable lack of confidence. Maybe they don't have the confidence in themselves. That might be reasonable if what they've been doing in terms of marketing, it has only been social media, right? If it hasn't been, let's put it into the context of working in front of a computer. Your life is in front of a screen. And you don't have to talk to, quote unquote, the public. You don't have to talk to people because you're setting up marketing campaigns using whatever fucking, what was the program called? Monkey something? Something Sweet? Monkey Sweet, I think it was. Who the fuck knows? Hootsuite? Who the fuck knows? That was putting up ads that you could program and have them successfully upload without you being there, right? So they could have been doing that only and just not talking to people. But now their lack of confidence could stem from the fact that they haven't had to interview, like actually interview in person in real time, think on their feet, and be able to explain to them, to this hiring manager or to this prospective client. Because when you're hiring to get employed, I mean, isn't that also a client? Granted that you'll be showing up to work every day and getting paid every week or bi-weekly or every month, however it is that payroll is processed. But they are necessarily a client. A different type of client, sure. But you should be able to communicate with them professionally and let them know exactly what it is that you did, exactly the benefits that you've derived from your experience, and exactly those intangible assets you are trying to bring to this organization for your dream job. Obviously, you want to give it to them nicely. You don't want to come off as desperate either. This is my dream job from 2018. I wanted to apply back then, but, it's like me wanting to go into the military when I came out of high school. But it was fucking rough. It was like the beginning. It was like during the Great Depression. No, the Great Depression, damn near, right? The Great Recession. And, there was no sign-on bonus. The ranks were fucking filled. Everybody was going infantry. I tested rather high on the ASVAB, and in I guess better times. In better times for recruits, I could have got a decent technical job, some technical MOS, doing something brain savvy or tech savvy, right? But lo and behold, chose not to go because the deployment was damn near guaranteed. I would have been on the front lines, yada, yada, PTSD. Like I didn't catch that shit stateside either. So it is what it is. You're right. What I'm wondering is, oh no, their self-employment's not going to hurt them. I don't think so. And their last paragraph here, if anyone else has navigated an interview after being self-employed for any period of time, I would love your perspective and any advice you may have. Thank you in advance. Well, you're welcome in advance. I feel like we answered that question while we were reading it. And I tend to do that. I like doing that because I think when those inferences pop up, granted, I don't have anything to write things down with me right now, but when those threads appear visible, I want to pull on them. And those might be reasonable inferences, opinions of mine, anecdotes that I might have heard, opinions of my colleagues as they come up, given their situations or individuals they've worked with. But interviewing as an entrepreneur, it's going to be like interviewing like any other interview. Granted, this sounds like your second corporate job. I mean, we don't know if they were employed through undergrad, through higher education, or when they were in high school, but the very beginning of the body here reads that they got one job out of college and then ditched that for entrepreneurship. And that sounds fun. Now they're trying to return to corporate. And a return to corporate is just that. You have to understand that things are a little bit more regimented. You have to understand your audience. And you have to understand how to communicate your value proposition. It's not going to a freelance client. They're still a client, but they aren't freelance anymore. This is corporate. The realm I like to operate in is technically freelance. And a lot of my clients aren't really, I'm not going to say they're not cut out for freelance work, They're just not in a position of life where they're set up to strike out on their own. A lot of them want to leave corporate. A lot of them want to enter corporate. Sounds like that's what this hypothetical client wants. A lot of them want to move up through corporate. So it's understanding where it is your position is. It's understanding your position and how to communicate it to the hiring manager. Because now you'll have managers. Now you'll have work product deadlines and deliverables that you have to satisfy. Just got to do it moving. Just got to do it moving. Don't stand still. And when you get inside that dream job of yours, you better hope are not some gold shackles. That dream job of yours, you better hope comes with the access and the resources and the support system that you want. That'll help you grow. Because the moment you become complacent, you'll begin, the moment you stop moving, the moment you begin to lose momentum, you'll start realizing why it opened up in the first place for you to apply for it. All right, that's 35 minutes. Take care of yourselves. I'll catch you next time.